Welcome back to the channel. If you are just joining us on this journey, we have already taken the roof off, built a structure, put some staircase in, put some V-Luxes in. There's been loads going on. If you want to catch up on that, have a look up here. We'll link the playlist through. Here's what the guys have been up to this week. It's starting to look good. What we've got to do now is make sure we can get this thing warm. How we do that in the UK is with a bunch of insulation. Now, insulation around the world comes in different shapes and forms and sizes. We're using a rock wool-esque product, which gets stuffed in between all of the uprights. It's 2 layers of 100mm, which are slightly compressed into the 150mm timbers.
Right, so that's all the fluff in the walls. Basically we doubled up 100mm, so 200mm of insulation in there. Horrible stuff that is, itchy, scratchy, but yeah, that's done. Got a little bit more to go in over here in this dwarf wall, but we need to staple some felt to the back first, because else obviously it's just gonna fall straight through, and then start Celotexing.
What the guys are doing here is getting our thermal envelope sealed by using that PIR board you can see on the wall there. Now what we can do is throw some nogs or short bits of timber that are pushed in between the rafters. That then gives us something to screw our base or our top plate into later on when we're building the walls. There are 2 types of flat roof in the UK. One of them is called a warm roof, the other one's called a cold roof. What you can see the guys doing here is insulating a cold roof. Now, a cold roof is where the insulation sits in between the rafters, like what you can see on screen. There's an air gap that lives above that insulation, above the fascia vents so it can breathe on the edge of the dormer, and then a dry ridge system so that air can continually flow from the ridge to the fascias on the front of the dormer. That air gap's really important. If you were to block all of that air gap up, the roof essentially can't breathe. What we need to do is then create airflow to allow that moisture to dry out, and that happens above the insulation on a cold roof. A warm roof is quite simply where you put the insulation on top of the deck and then you put the sauna fill over top of that. The reason why we had to go with a cold roof on this one is because we're limited by the ridge height of the house. It looks like a busy little beehive at the moment. That's because we've put more men at it. We're trying to get multiple tasks completed at the same time. So while Tyler and Toby are boarding the ceiling, you can see Sammy and Marv here. They've already started on building the internal structure for the bathroom. Flat roof is done and boarded. Now it's time for us to move over to the pitch roof. So you can see the 2 V-Luxes there. That's got a slightly different insulation structure in it. The guys have put the insulation in between the rafters, and then now we use this space age looking stuff. We call it space blanket. I'm not actually sure what the technical name for it is. It's an additional thermal layer which goes over top of everything. Then it's a case of putting on some counter batten so that we've got air running through it. There's no easy way to say this, but some of the techniques used in building are pretty common with some other practices. Here's Sam's thoughts on the matter.
Welcome back to the Fern grow room. This is going to be hydroponics. On here we got the water feed there, that's the irrigation system. Hopefully about, what do you reckon, Marv, 30 plants in here?
A bit more.
30 plants.
30?
Yeah, there's a little hatch there, that's Marv's little hidey hole if the police come.
FBI, open up!
Yeah, little bed in there. Yeah, hopefully we're making some wonga.
Disclaimer, that's not going to happen. This is a customer's house and we're a building company. Let's talk about U values. U value is the rating given to an individual piece of insulation. All of those bits of insulation mixed together create a whole space U value. That gives you the thermal properties of that room. Everything is taken into consideration. Believe it or not, a concrete block has a U value. It's obviously just not as much as what insulation is. By the time you build all of the layers of construction together, that gives you the overarching value for the space. And that's what we need for building control to make sure that we've made it way better than what it was.
Good morning, we're back at the loft extension. So a little bit of change happened up here. We've got boys here as well, giving us a hand. Got the old crew, 5 men in a loft. Hours of fun, isn't it, Marv?
Yeah.
We've done a lot of the insulation on the outer skin. We've got this tin foil stuff, but it's just referred to as space blanket. The benefit of that is you can have, by the time you batten that off, you've got about 30 mil, and it's the equivalent of much bigger bit of Celotex, but that lets us hit our insulation U value without losing more space. So, you know, if you had to have 70 mil of Celotex on there, you wouldn't be able to plasterboard on top of that very easily. So we go with a space blanket. This back wall here, we didn't have enough, the staircase was tight as it was, so rather than have space blanket and batten, which is 30 mil, we've got 20 mil Celotex, so it's gained us an extra 10 mil, and it's allowed that staircase to fit. A few different systems going on in here, but it will all tie in together. Today we're going to be getting this boarded, getting this wall here finished. We'll get as much of the bathroom done as we can. The issue we got in here is the plasterers are coming on Wednesday and the plumbers coming on Thursday. So we're going to have to try and do something creative in here so that the plumber can still do what he needs to do. Maybe a case of we just leave 2 walls unskimmed and we skim them at a later date.
So it's time to start getting ready for some plasterboard. There's 2 types of plasterboard that you can see, the pink stuff and the white stuff. The pink stuff is specifically fire rated board. That helps create a partition between the next door neighbor and us. What it does is it means that if there's a fire next door, our fireboard is going to give us longer in order to get out of the house. That's what the pink stuff does. The grey stuff is standard 12.5 mil square edge plasterboard. While some of the boys are cracking on with that, we go back over to the other side, and it's almost like there's 2 projects happening at the same time. But it's more stud walling, more plasterboarding, this time focusing on the wall of the stairs and the bathroom. Whilst we've been cracking on with this, we've had a delivery of the windows. The weather's all good now, and it's been a bit changeable, so we're going to take this opportunity, get outside, get the windows in.
Good morning. Got the boys on site giving us a hand.
Morning.
Morning, Angle.
You alright, Cal?
Wow.
He's down in his little cupboard. So we've got a bit of a crazy one today. We've got plasterers coming in tomorrow. And to the untrained eye, this wouldn't look like it was anywhere near ready for plasterers, but once we get going, we'll be done by lunchtime. Getting some 2x2 on that chimney breast and a bit of insulation against it, because it's obviously connected to the outside, so you can get condensation, damp coming through there. So we've got a solution for that. And this hallway will be done. So yeah, look a lot different by the end of the day.
I love it when Sammy gets ambitious, when he turns around and says the whole thing's going to be plastered by lunchtime. We didn't quite manage to get there, but they have made some really good progress around that chimney breast, getting like a mini stud wall built, get that insulated, creates a vapor barrier, stops any damp from the chimney coming through. Nice work, boys.
Right, so we've had a good crack. Didn't quite get it finished by lunchtime, but we got a decent amount of it done. Got that framed out, insulated. Bathroom's 80% done.
Don't forget the thumbs up.
We've only got 1 plasterer here for 1 day, so he's got plenty to crack on with. Then he'll be back in a couple of days and we'll have everything finished by then. We've got this wall here packed out, because obviously the top wall is 2 inches bigger than the bottom wall, which we had to do that for insulation reasons. We had to have a 6-inch plate so we could get the insulation required inside the wall. But yeah, that gets packed out, that'll get finished. And yeah, do some muck on the walls a bit later.
If you're enjoying this so far, please remember, like and subscribe.
Right, so we've got Callum here. He's done a little bit of prep work. He's scrimmed all of that up. he's got plenty to crack on with for the day. So he's going to come in here and we're going to go outside. You want my booty? Yeah. He's going to crack on in there. We're going to stay out of his way. We're going to try and get some fascia on this dormer. A little bit of guttering.
So like Sammy said, it's time for some fascia. Now fascia is the UPVC product which we fix to the end of the timber rafters. That makes it look really tidy. It comes in like a protective plastic layer, and then we nail through it using special nails. That creates a nice tidy finish on the end of the rafters. From there, we can then screw the guttering into the fascia. That controls all of the water coming off the roof into the drains down on the ground. So while the boys have been outside, Cal's got some plaster on inside. It's really starting to come together. Often on a site like this, you have to work all the multi-trades. Everyone wants the whole space together, but that's just how it is.
Right, so that's everything up the main bedroom and the bathroom pretty much finished for Callum to come and plaster. Not this Callum.
Other Callum, good Callum.
Different Callum. So obviously did a couple of walls the other day. He's got the taps in, shower tray in, radiator pipes in, sink, a little bit of flooring and a bit more insulation to go in down there. That's bathroom done. Everything ready to be finished off. Got the door linings in. Next little job before we go anywhere, I like to cut these roughly to length and pin them in now because they're notorious for getting chucked in the skip.
So one of the challenges you have when you're tiling a bathroom with loads of different angles is getting it all to look good. What Toby and Tyler, no pun intended, have done here is what they call a dry fit. Now there's loads of pipes and angles and trays and everything in the way. So the boys have essentially laid out all of the tiles exactly how they want them to be, cut them all to size without the glue in the way, and then the process will be is they'll tear them all up, number them, and then all they have to do is simply trowel the floor with the tile adhesive on and then glue them all down. In the other part of the project, you can see the plastering's coming along well. The next step from there is second fix carpentry. Skirting, architrave, doors. That's next. While that's going on inside, all of the windows and gutters and soffits and fascias and so on are done outside, which means we can now get the scaffolding down. Here's our lovely scaffolding company. They're going to do a little bit of camera work, and as you're about to see, they are complete naturals.
Yeah, it is it? Which way's the pointing, look? Oh, that's filming. Oh yeah. There we are, look. The scaffold's up. By mid-dome scaffolding. And in about 5 minutes time, the scaffold will be down.
So, scaffolding coming down. Start at the top, work your way down. Now the guys pull the boards off first, and then they can pull the big poles down. This is all connected to the ground, so you have to take it down, top down. So Sammy's about to go on holiday for a few days. His last job is to make the underside of the stairs look way better than what they are currently. Now when they get manufactured not to look good, but to be functional. So we need to make it look good. How we've done that is by building a lightweight timber structure out of roofing batten, and then we can simply plasterboard over all of that, because in the next few days, the underside of the stairs is getting plastered.
Morning guys, been another busy couple of days down here at site. As you can see, we have been skimming. It's been blimmin' hot here the last couple of days, so this skim only went on there yesterday, and as you can see, it's nearly dried out already. Also made our way down the corridor above the stairs, so that was a bit tricky. Had to set up a little platform for Callum so he could get up there to skim it. What we're going to do today, carry on getting the rest of the skim done, down the stairs, round here, and then we've also got these bits, then patch in onto the old ceiling. Once that's done, that'll be all the plastering finish. So what else we're getting onto today? Toby and Tyler are going to start jumping on some tiling today. What they're going to be doing, coming into the ensuite, get a bit of tiling on the wall for the shower tray. Once that's done, we can then start second fixing the rest of the bathroom. Cheers guys!
So, stage one of tiling. Prime the walls. Now this is really important because it's bare plaster. The blue stuff that you can see going on here is a specific tile primer. Don't use PVA glue, it doesn't work. Once the primer's had some time to go off, we can then work out something called bond. So you'll see here there's lots of head scratching and probably a couple of cups of coffee. This is us trying to work out exactly what the bond is of a tile. The bond is how many rows of tiles we have until we get to where we need to. So we always fit the trim first. That gives you the spacings for your tiles. We can then start laying from the inside, and if we've done our calculations right, we should have a full tile right on the edge where the trim is. Now sometimes it doesn't work out that your tile is exactly the right size for what you need. So we always put the cuts in the corner because that means the tiles look to the eye like it's turning the corner and continuing on. And as you can see, Toby's doing a brilliant job of making these salmon vertical block laid tiles look really nice.
Hi guys, welcome back. It's been another busy day on site. Yesterday we had Toby and Tyler on the shower. As you can see, cracking on. Tyler's just busy doing the last row of tiles now today. Get ready to grout that tomorrow. Callum the plasterer was in again yesterday. He got all the plastering finished off in this corridor. You can see how warm it is though. We only plastered this yesterday and it's nearly dry today. So, and then blended it in, come down the stairs, got all the ceiling blended in, down under the stairs again, it's all done. Hardest bit is getting this nice curve done. That was an awesome job by our Callum and Callum the plasterer. Good work guys. As I said, today we're just cracking on, getting second fix finished on the skirting and arcs, get the shower finished tiling, and then hopefully we'll get on to hanging some doors. Cheers.
And that's the end of this week. Another massive episode. Thanks so much again to all the people that help along the way, our amazing customers, obviously the boys and girls at Silver Fern. Love what you do guys. If you have enjoyed it, please remember to like and subscribe. We put loads of effort and energy into these. I hope you can see it. Next time we see this property, it's going to look really different. It'll be the grand reveal, it'll be the finish. Until then, we'll see you in a bit.